And good Tuesday evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, 7 p.m., first Tuesday of the month, time for This Week in ABATE. I'm your state legislative coordinator, Josh Witkowski. Joining me a little bit later will be our new /old /recycled state coordinator, Ryan Hubbard. Chris is off this week. He has obligations in the first week of the month, as do I. That's why we do it at Tuesday at 7 p.m. for the first week. Every other one for the rest of March will be on the Wednesdays at 7 p.m. as expected. If you have questions, comments, things you want to know about tonight, let us know down there in the comments. I do apologize for the little bit of a false start. Facebook decided to kill that first feed, make it really laggy, so we had to reinitiate a new feed, and here we are. So let's start, as we always do, with the latest in the State House shenanigans down there. The House today announced that they are canceling session for next week. The Senate is expected to still come back, but the House is canceling in-person session for next week. The one thing that they are going to do, though, is they are going to continue with the virtual meetings. When they last met in June or January, they allowed for virtual committee hearings, virtual meetings to go on for the House side of things. So they are going to do that. Revenue and Transportation both are meeting this week. They're meeting via committee, and there are expected to be some meetings next week as well. Mary Jo, seeing you checking in from Illini chapter, welcome in. Thanks for having us. It was good seeing you over the weekend. And we're going to be getting to that too a little bit, talking about over the weekend. But right off the bat, talking about what's going on down there at the State House, I wanted to bring up a story that just kind of shows you what we do in terms of being A.B.A.T E of Illinois. And that story is House Bill 656. House Bill 656 is the bill that allows for a passenger to be on the back of a motorcycle. It says that they have to have a foot that touches the footrest. And a lot of people were wondering why A.B.A.T E of Illinois is supporting a bill that mandates safety. And the very simple answer is this. Currently in the state of Illinois, it is illegal to have a passenger in front of you on the gas tank. It is also illegal to have them behind you unless there is a footrest. However, there's no law that says they have to be able to touch the footrest. And this got noticed by some very concerned activists, some members of different law enforcement. Well, they reached out and they wanted to pursue a ban on children on motorcycles. Now, they were going to set an age limit, 8, 9, 10, whatever. The thing is, once you do that, you open yourself up to being pulled over anytime you have a child on your motorcycle. And a lot of us grew up that way. My own daughter grew up on the back of my motorcycle. Do you want that? Do you want to be able to be pulled over? Hey, how old is that kid? Can you prove that? All that fun stuff? No, we don't. So we asked what the legitimate concern was, and the concern was there had been some individuals not engaging in the most safe behavior, is just the way I'll put it. So we figured out that if we modified the law to say, hey, you have to be able to touch a footrest, not even both of them, because we got to account for amputees, that this was something that was agreeable to all parties, and it works. So this is kind of what we do. We listen to concerns from different communities, we try to avoid anything that's going to adversely affect us, and then we cut that deal, and we make good legislation down there, things that benefit everybody in the state of Illinois, especially in the motorcycle community. So that's what we've got going on. And that bill just got assigned to Transportation Committee late today. I got an email alert on it, so that's good to see. A little bit later on, we're going to talk about the usual stuff that we've got. We've got news on the trailer plate front. We've got news in off-road. We've got news on our lobbying day. But before we get to all of that, I wanted to bring on a special guest, and this is what we're going to try to do on Tuesday nights. We're going to bring on our guest for the week or for the month. And in this particular case, I am going to bring on Ryan Hubbard, who is your newly elected state coordinator, but he has also served as state coordinator in previous years. So I don't know if that makes him new, old, or recycled. I'm going to bring him on here and let him answer that. Ryan, good Saturday evening. Ooh, I'm still tired from the weekend, man. It was a long one. Good Tuesday evening, Ryan. How are you doing today, man?
Doing pretty good. Glad to be on here. As you know, I don't have Facebook myself, so I'm kind of watching a picture of myself and looking at a black screen. So we'll work through this, and you guys make the technology work, and we'll share the message.
We are doing the best that we can with that. First of all, right now, you've been elected for this year, but you did serve previously as state coordinator, right?
Yes, I served for 5 years before state coordinator.
Okay. So you did 5 years previous, 2 years off, came back. You're doing it for year number six. Can you explain to everybody what the state coordinator is?
So the state coordinator is the one that kind of oversees all the daily operations of the state organization. The chapter's president would be about the closest thing that you have. The chapter president responsible that the wishes of the membership that were brought up in the meeting are, brought in front of everyone to be voted on. They run the meeting to tell what's going on. I do the same thing on the state level. Um, we have an executive board. I have meetings with them to talk about all of the kind of details behind the scenes of getting all of the things done that the board of directors has directed ABATE to accomplish for the year. Whether it's pursuing certain legislation, whether it's issues with getting into classrooms to teach the writer or the safety and awareness program. It could be lots of different facets like that. We also oversee the entire budget for the state. And so we'll work with what the chapters bring to the board of directors meeting. The board votes on it. That sets the policies up. The executive board is there to handle getting those accomplished. And as a state coordinator, I'm there to kind of keep my hands on and keep watching and make sure everything's going right and help solve issues, help break through any barriers that might come up. If there's chapter problems, they can go to their region coordinator. The region coordinator can't get something straightened out. They come to me. If there's some kind of proposal a chapter wants to make, they bring it to the board of directors, and then it's on me to get that board of directors to discuss it, make any kind of motion and vote on it, and then ensure that it gets carried out throughout the entire state with all the
So
chapters.
basically, you're at the head of this. It's your job to help coordinate between chapters, BOD, and the heathens that you've got on e-board like myself.
Yes,
There we
it's
go.
I'm trying to keep my hands on a lot of moving balls here to make sure they all go in the same direction.
That's good to hear. So we just recently had ABATE Steel this past weekend, where you kind of laid out, what your thoughts were on where we should be going. Before we get to your thoughts on where you want to see the organization start heading, wanted to ask you, what did you think of Steel? What did you see happen this weekend? What was your take on the whole convention down here in Springfield?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to everybody that was able to make it. With everything the last year, and then some other mitigations that pushed it a month later than typical. I appreciate that folks were still able to make time to be at the event, and we had a lot of new time or first timers new to the seminar or new to Steel, and in interaction with them, kind of asking in a crowd situation, but also talking to some of them off to the side, they did feel that they picked up some information. I believe the big thing that you really get out of Steel is yes, we have a couple speakers in the morning and we go through kind of the hot topics of legislation, the numbers for safety and education. I give an overview of my thoughts and where I think we need to go for the next year and those types of issues. But in the afternoon, we have breakout sessions where every member of the organization is able to go into any session, whether it's talking about products, whether it's talking about activities, whether it's talking about the president's position. secretary position, but you can go into those and learn. And you not only learn, but you meet the people that are doing the job at the state level who are putting on the program. You also learn who the other people are at other chapters, maybe around you, maybe all the way on the other side of the state from you, but you start getting some networking going. You have some phone numbers now, some email addresses. If you run into an issue or you want to plan some new event, you can call somebody and get some input on that and start building those networks. And as we all work together to go towards the same goal, we can kind of help each other out and make the events and make all of the different things better. But like I said, it was, I think, a very positive weekend. A lot of information was put out. A lot of folks learned some things new. But big thing is we met other people and we started exchanging ideas with them and started new conversations.
And you can't see it, what's going on down in the comments section here, but they refer to you as the head chief referee in charge, head cat herder, a few e-board members taking objection to my characterization as heathens, just the usual stuff for an ABATE Tuesday night. One thing that you mentioned is you mentioned moving forward towards a common goal. What is that common goal that you see for A.B.A.T.E of Illinois for this year?
So I think a big thing with A.B.A.T.E of Illinois and a lot of organizations, because of the year we just had and because of what we're still going through somewhat, we need to get ourselves acclimated to today's environment, get ourselves into what are the new ways we connect, what are the new ways that we meet people and discuss our issues, and what are the new ways that we can help drive things forward. And I really pushed four things when I talked there in the general session in the seminar: was freedom, responsibility, safety, and respect. I think those four things kind of describe our organization and what we need to do. Our organization is all about freedom. It's freedom to be able to ride what we want, when we want, where we want, with whoever we want, dressed how we want, come and go freely, pursue our happiness, right? But along with being free, we also need to be responsible. We need to be responsible for the actions we take in exercising those freedoms, that we're not stepping on somebody else. We're not causing an issue with something else, right? That's where the safety comes. That's where the respect comes. As we practice our freedom, as we do that responsibly, we're also asking other drivers on the road to share the road with us. Well, it's our responsibility to share the road with them so that we're all safe. We want to get everyone home safe to their families after every ride, after every drive. You may be going to the grocery store and picking something up and coming home so that you can have dinner that night. You could be taking a 400-mile ride that day. That part doesn't matter. We want you to be able to go and do that activity and get home safely to your family. Nobody plans for an accident. That's why it's called an accident. If not, it would be an on purpose, right?
Exactly.
We need to do, show that we're responsible citizens and we are going to participate in the traffic flow. We're going to work with the others around us so that we all get home safely. And that's ultimately just a sign of respect. I respect your right to be there and go about your day and go do your shopping or whatever it is you need to do, go to work, come home, and you respect mine. And that carries over into respect as we talk to each other, as we have our meetings, as we interact, whether it's at the setting we just had with Steel or whether it's two people that meet up at a gas station and are standing there having a conversation. You're not going to get any respect back to you if you don't show that. If you're going to be belligerent towards the person, you're not going to get the respect that you're trying to get from them. So as we go through the year, I'm going to continue to try to focus on that. We're free. We need to practice our freedom responsibly, and and safely. And with that will come the respect, as long as we are willing to do those things respectfully to others.
There you go. I mean, I think that's a very easy thing to look forward to. I think it's a good vision going forward. Is there anything else that you want the membership to know or membership to hear from you before I let you get out of here? Oh, before that, looks like Dan Kleckner wants to know whether or not you're going to Heartland Steam.
Yes, I will be there a month from last
A
weekend.
month
Yes.
from last weekend. There we go. All righty. And Dan, I see that you're asking that of me. It's not decided yet for me. My schedule is all sorts of screwy right now. And with the State House unable to make up its mind on a scheduled day to day, it's going to be pretty interesting. Ryan, thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and let you go so that way you can get rid of that Skype off of your computer. And you want, if you can find your way, have your wife log on to Facebook and watch the end of this.
That's that's what I'll have to do. I'll have to get her to log into her account and show me what's going
Alrighty,
on.
man. You have yourself a wonderful evening. See
Okay,
you.
thank you for having me on, and thank you to all those out there that are members. And if you're not a member, please check out what A.B.A.T.E of Illinois is all about, and consider becoming a member. $25 a year to help fight for your freedoms.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Hubbard checking in from his house, talking about his vision for ABATE in the future. Um, Ryan, if you can still hear me, you can disconnect the call. It won't mess with anything. So anyway, that's what we've got going on. That's what Steel was about over the weekend. It was a good time. A lot of first timers, a lot of young first timers. Was really nice to see. It's good whenever you can get younger hooligans mixed in with us older ones. It's a lot of fun. Next thing up for you. Yes, we are still going to cover the events that are going around the state. There are a ton of events. Do bear with me as I'm the only one running this tonight. So I'm trying to monitor the comments and handle the production back here. We are going to cover events, but one thing that we want to definitely cover, trailer plates. My God, if there's anything I have heard way too much about in the last couple of years, it is the issue with the TA trailer. TA trailer is anything under 3,000 pounds. This is the trailer that you would tow a motorcycle on, a canoe, small boat, those kind of things. But it's also the trailer that goes behind a motorcycle, the fiberglass trailer type stuff. In 2019, there was a capital bill passed. That capital bill raised all trailers by $100 registration fees. Unfortunately, that took the TA plate from $18 to $118, an over 500% increase. This didn't go unnoticed. There was an agreement in November of 2019 to change that. And then that agreement fell apart. There was a bill that was passed that was supposed to go through, and unfortunately, when the bill went through, they didn't carry the trailer bill that was supposed to follow it. I don't know what to say about that. So then in 2020, there was another agreement. Hey, we're going to get this fixed. We're going to get it fixed quick. And then COVID hit. So there goes 2020. And for the entire year of 2020, the Secretary of State collected $118 fees on TA plates. Up until the pandemic hit, up until the issues with unemployment hit, trailer plates were either the number one or number two thing that legislators heard about down at the State House. The other one being FOID card issues. That really says something. There's even a write-up today in Chicago media talking about the 500% increase and that there's a bipartisan bill to try and fix that. Well, there's actually two bipartisan bills where they're trying to fix that. One is House Bill 36, which would take the fee from $118 back down to $18. That bill advanced to Revenue Committee, and it is actually slated to be heard. I believe it's either tomorrow or Thursday. And when it's heard, A.B.A.T.E of Illinois has already signed on as a supporter of it with a witness slip. Now, what we hear is that everything's going to go to subcommittees out of revenue. So I don't know that a call to action is warranted yet at this point in time, though it really would be nice to see that bill go straight from revenue to the floor rather than being stuck in some subcommittee, because that's what happened last March, which ended up killing it off. So that's where we're at with that. There is another bill floating around out there that would make the 118 a permanent fee. But when I say permanent, it's a one-time permanent. You only pay $118 at the beginning. It follows the life of that plate as long as it's attached to that trailer. So as long as you have the trailer for 6 years, give or take, you're going to be okay on that. My personal preference is to see it rescinded back to $18. But if we can't get that, the other one with the single time fee is the other way to go, I believe, at least. So on that note, let's go into some of the events that we've got going on around the state. We are going to start with Saturday, March 6th. Heart of Illinois chapter is doing a cornhole tournament, bags tournament, whatever you want to call it. It's afternoon fun. There's sign up going on from noon to 1 p.m. Heartland ABATE is right around the Bloomington area. They're holding this event in that area, I believe. I can't see the full flyer, so I couldn't tell you exactly where it's at, unfortunately. Next up after that is going to be Will County. They're holding an event this Sunday, March 6th, at Zelmo's Full Moon Saloon. You can see it right there up in Joliet. So go ahead and go play bags down there near the Bloomington area on Saturday. Switch over to the Will County Triathlon on Sunday. It's a nice back-to-back weekend of events right there along I-55. So definitely go in for the triathlon. Looks like you've got darts, billiards, and I'm not sure what the third game is there, but show up, find out, have fun. The following weekend, it is a long, long weekend. March 13th, Central Illinois A.B.A.T.E up there in Galesburg at Harley's Pub is going to be doing a broomstick pool tournament. And yes, such an event has rules. You can see, bring your own broom, must be top of 6 inches and able to sweep the floor. They will give prizes for decorated brooms, so bring out your best dressed broom to Galesburg, Harley's Pub, noon to 1 p.m. sign up, $10 entry fee. If you've never played broomstick pool, it is a blast. I highly, highly recommend that one. Then also on the 13th, the Daytona 200 Race Watch Party, Calamity Jane's, Sugar Grove, Illinois. That's going to be the northeastern part of the state, sponsored by Duquesne A.B.A.T.E. That is the home chapter for our own press PR coordinator, Chris Hansen. So that's going on at 11:30 a.m. So if you're in the northwest part of the state, go to Galesburg. Northeast part of the state, Sugar Grove, Peoria area, you're going over to Galesburg. But also on the 13th, starting out that entire day, we have the Kishwaukee Valley chapter breakfast. It is 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. It is Saturday, March 13th at Neighbors Bar and Grill over there in Loves Park, the northwestern part of the state, outside of the Rockford area. If you're up that way, definitely check it out. It's good fellowship. And then what's really cool in that northwestern region of the state is that after you get done having a nice, good breakfast with the good folks up there at Kishwaukee Valley, you can travel just a little bit south of there and end up at the A.B.A.T.E of Illinois Northwest Region 15th Annual Chili Shootout. That is going to be also Saturday, March 13th. Last chili in, 4 p.m. Judging is 4:15 to 4:30. It is going to be in Dixon, Illinois at the VFW post. I've been there before. Very nice facility. Sandy Morrell, all the people up there at Northwest Region, they do a really good job putting this event together. It is definitely something to see. So go get your breakfast on up there with Kishwaukee Valley. Slide on down to Dixon to get your chili going. Have a nice evening there. You can have a full weekend. Whether you're up in the Duquesne area, whether you're in Galesburg, I mean, it's just everywhere. We have events going on. So then we move on to the following weekend, 2 weeks from this weekend. It is 10 Mile Creek doing a chili cook-off at the Depot in Kenny, Illinois. Kenny is just outside of Clinton, Illinois. It's up there on Route 54, kind of the east central part of the state. 10 Mile Creek, they're a very active chapter in that area. If they're throwing together a chili cook-off, I assure you there's likely to be other shenanigans involved with those individuals. I don't know. You're just going to have to be there to see it. They kind of have a reputation. There's some very good people, though. So definitely check that one out. So then moving on from there, the very next day, March 21st, you're back up in Duquesne area again at the Bolero in Glendale Heights. They are doing a bowling tournament. It's food and drinks available. It's for a good cause. They've got a $100 cash prize going on with it. It is just a really good, fun time over there with them. So then we're going to close out the end of March. So we're going to go to the last weekend in March, and we are going to go up to Black Hawk ABATE at Jim's Knoxville Tap in Milan, Illinois. This is going to be up in the Quad Cities area. If you know the Quad Cities area of Illinois, Iowa, this is where you want to be on March 27th. Only $5 per player. It's 25 cents per game. There's a 100% payout. This looks like it's going to be a good time. Black Hawk, also affectionately known as our Black Sheep when they show up at the state party, for a good reason. So keep that in mind. End of June, you may want to meet some of these fine folks if you're not up there March 27th meeting with them at their pool tournament. Also on the 27th, we have the Eastern Illinois chapter is doing a bowling tournament. It is Saturday, March 27th, 3 to 4 p.m. at Fast Lanes in Hoopeston, Illinois. So they're going to be going on in the East Central region, part of the state. And then once you're there, you're already in the east part of the state. We've also got Liberty ABATE doing the pre-bash party. They're doing sign up at noon, starts at 1 o'clock. They're having a cornhole tournament. So yet again, cornhole bags, whatever you want to call it. Roadhouse is where that is going to be at. So be over there at the Roadhouse, which is in Neoga. Be a little bit south of where Eastern Illinois ABATE is having their bowling tournament at. But these are both events that you can go to out there in the eastern part of the state. So those are all the events that are going on through the end of the month, I should say. Keeps us busy, keeps us going. So coming back out of events, let's go into some off-road issues. A lot of people don't realize A.B.A.T E of Illinois is very involved in off-road issues. If you have ever met our off-road coordinator, Hunter John Harris, he's just slightly passionate about the issue of off-road riders and off-road rights. You'll know him when you meet him, is the way I would put that. So we've had a couple issues come up that are really heavy in the off-road community. The first issue is allowing off-road vehicles to use roads that are 55 miles an hour or less. These are typically your county highways, that kind of stuff. It's something that has four different bills. They're trying to accomplish the same thing 3 different ways. There are some loose groups, one up in Stevenson County, one over near Chena, one in southern Illinois. They keep pushing for this year to year. None of them are part of ABATE, though. So ABATE just turns around and watches the issue because we don't have membership that is consistently pushing for this or asking for this. I, as the state legislative coordinator, can only do what the board of directors asked me to do, and I've not had anybody from our board of directors ask me to pursue this issue or make it a priority for our legislative agenda. So instead, what we've done is act as a technical resource for everybody involved, both the lawmakers and the people trying to get that through. And that also allows us to keep an eye on it, so that way nothing gets through that would be adverse to standard off-road users. So that's something that we've got going on with the off-road community. We're going to continue to work with it, but we're not going to push it. We're just observing. We're just there, kind of like I said, as a resource. The other thing that we definitely are going to push, and we are going to push back hard. Polaris Industries, again, wants to change the definition of a vehicle to benefit their bottom line rather than to do something that benefits the riding community. And when I say again, those of you that have been around a while know this is the same company that makes a Slingshot, which is a 3-wheeled car, and tries to say it's a motorcycle. Well, this time around, They want turbocharged RZRs to pose as ATVs. They want RZRs, razors as people like to call them, to be a ATV, which would give them access to the off-road trails, to the community that we've got going on there. And it's very funny. I'm looking over my right, just got done talking about how much of an advocate Hunter John is. He's actually trying to call me right now, not realizing I'm still live on Facebook. So I'll find out what he wants here in a minute. But Polaris wants these larger vehicles to pose as ATVs, so that way they can be on what's called the off-highway vehicle trails. These are trails that are paid for by ATV users and dirt bike users. And this would put those larger turbocharged vehicles, and it would also allow rock climbers to be considered under this, right on the same trail as kids, teenagers, younger riders who are just getting into off-road and are using this as their entryway into the sport of motorcycling and riding. That's a problem for us. On top of that, these larger vehicles that move very, very fast tear up the trails. I'm being told I'm going to get about 3 or 4 letters from park owners talking about how much damage the larger vehicles do and how it screws up the riding for ATVs and for dirt bikes. So what we're going to pursue is to tell Polaris, one, we're not going to accept you redefining ATV, but also we're going to try to find other recreational opportunities for their vehicles that don't interfere with the off-highway vehicle trails grant program. Because when you open a park and you fund it with that grant, you're saying, hey, I'm only going to have this open for ATVs, dirt bikes, that kind of activity. So we want to find something that works for larger side-by-sides, something you can go really have fun with. If you've ever been to Hillbilly Ranch in the southwestern part of the state, Jerseyville, big shout out to Brandon and the guys down there. They do an awesome job with a large mudding park that you can take all sorts of crazy vehicles through. But it's not geared, like these other parks towards four-wheelers and dirt bikes. So that's what's going on with that issue. That's Senate Bill 150. It's House Bill 2361. A.B.A.T.E of Illinois is going to strongly oppose these. And if Polaris keeps this up, we may be strongly taking it directly to Polaris dealers and Indian dealers, since they belong to the company that thinks it's appropriate to put turbocharged vehicles right next to kids on ATVs on the same trails. So that's going to be going on. The last thing that I want to put out there, we're just going to kind of do a little wrap up here. I've had a lot of people ask me about Lobby Day. Lobby Day is going to be April 14th. However, it's not going to be what you're used to. We are going to do virtual Lobby Day where you Zoom or call your legislators. So we're going to be working that through the regions. We're going to be asking you to schedule appointments, do those phone calls. Likely all of those are going to be in the morning because they're likely going to have committees about 10 o'clock, give or take. After that is all said and done, we are still going to have a reception in Springfield. So if you want to come down to Springfield early on Wednesday and set your meeting while you're in Springfield and just do it, from a few blocks away, that's fine. But we will need you in Springfield on April 14th in the evening for the usual reception that we have. Now, we've had people asking, how are you going to socially distance the whole nine? We're blocking off part of the parking lot. So we're going to have the indoor part. We're going to have a door open. So we'll have the regulated distance inside. But we're also going to have outdoor venue available with part of the parking lot roped off. So that way everybody can feel comfortable with particular levels of social distancing. We are all about individual freedom, individual rights. So your individual right to protect yourself as you see fit will be honored at this event. And hopefully that will draw over several more lawmakers and we can touch base and keep working on our legislative priorities that are going on. The last thing that I wanted to bring up to you, one of the things that we do as an organization, I mentioned the child ban that got turned into just saying, hey, you got to be able to touch a footrest. One of the other things that we do is when somebody changes a bill to meet our request, they change their bill to meet our concerns, we support that bill. Sometimes it's bills that originally had nothing to do with us. Sometimes it's bills that did have something to do with us. And we've got 2 instances of that. House Bill 96 is a vehicle tinting bill produced by Maurice West. Representative West originally wanted a bill that said, hey, if you have traumatic brain injury, you can have your vehicle tinted. Unfortunately, somebody on staff, they didn't hear the request correctly or something, and the language they filed would have banned tinting on all vehicles, including our smoke windscreens that we use as motorcyclists. So we got a hold of Representative West. He assured me that a amendment was coming and they were going to change it. They did change it, and they changed it again this year. And as a result, A.B.A.T E of Illinois is signed on as a proponent of the bill, because when you do what's asked, we have to hold to our word. And our word is that we're going to support you when you've addressed our concerns. Another one of these is Senate Bill 58. This is the auto dealers trade-in bill. It originally started life as a bill last year that, had it passed, it would have raised taxes on motorcycles on trade-ins. So when you read the header is still the old information. The bill is the current information. The auto dealers worked with us. Joe McMahon down there, he worked with us real well, and he got motorcycles taken out of the bill. So it doesn't affect us anymore. It helps the trade-in guys fix this issue of the $10,000 credit. If you work at all in vehicles, you know what I'm talking about. They're getting basically double taxed on their vehicles because, let's face it, Illinois hasn't met a tax that they didn't like. But that's another one where we're going to support our friends that have done stuff to address bills and concerns that we have had. Looking through the comments section, I don't see any further questions from you fine folks. So this has been This Week in ABATE. It is Tuesday night. It is March 2nd. I greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. Please keep tuning in. Definitely check out our legislative alert signups. Things are going to be changing pretty rapidly in the next few weeks, so stay tuned to that. Other than that, everybody have fun, have a good time, and we will see you later.